Finals are coming up and your brain is juggling 5 different subjects, too many to count study guides, and 0 motivation. But what if you had a study buddy who didn't get tired and understood every topic? Hi there, my name is Presh and I share tips and tricks to help students and families feel less overwhelmed and more in control. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 ways you can use AI to turn your study guides into practice tests, easily create flashcards, and build your own study plan that makes sense. Let's do it. Creating practice tests using study guides. Leading up to your final exams, your teacher may give you a study guide to study from, but sometimes you might look at this study guide and have no clue how to actually study from it. For most of your classes, learning by doing is going to save you hours of time. What that looks like is quizzing yourself, taking a practice test, and so forth, because that helps you put what you've learned into application. The more you do that, the more your brain retains information. So let me show you how you can easily turn your study guide into a practice test using ChatGPT. Let's pretend that you have an algebra exam and your teacher gave you the study guide that has the properties of real numbers, operations of real numbers, complex numbers, and so forth. Your first step in turning this study guide into a practice test is to download the study guide. You can do that by right-clicking, saving it, or if there's a download button wherever your teacher uploaded it, make sure you download that. Once you have it downloaded, you want to paste in the image in here. Right now I'm just clicking, dragging it to a new chat in ChatGPT. And then if you want, you can also click the plus button and add photos and files. Little disclaimer, I am using the free version of ChatGPT, so that way you don't have to pay and still see what these results look like on the free version. Next, I have this prompt that I created where we say, I'm taking my algebra final, and I put my teacher study guide here. My teacher said that it will be 20 questions from this study guide, and I have to show my work. Can you make a practice key with the answer key at the bottom? Generally, if you don't say that the answer key is at the bottom, it's going to give you the answer for each problem, and that's just gonna encourage you to just use the answer versus really knowing why that's the answer. So you want to include that in the chat so it knows to put it at the bottom. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Okay, so I think that took about maybe a minute to come up with this practice test. And the next step that you can do is you can grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil, and work on them one by one. Try to write the question and then put your work underneath. If you're not able to do it right now, you can always copy this and then go to a Google Doc. I'm gonna do docs.new, and then it's gonna take me to a new Google Doc in my Gmail. I'm gonna paste that in here. Only thing is, when you copy paste the information, if it has equations, it just doesn't look that clean, like there's these brackets and so forth. So if you don't like that, you can just go ahead and take a photo, and I'm gonna paste that in here. So I have the questions, and then I'm just gonna rename this to questions, and then I'm gonna click a new tab and put answers in here. The reason I'm doing that is I wanna really separate it and prevent myself from quickly looking at the answers. I don't wanna tempt myself. And then I'm gonna go into the very bottom and basically do the same thing. Take a screenshot of all the answers, put it in here, and do my best to not look. So that's how you can turn that study guide into these practice tests. The only thing to remember is that sometimes when you're doing the problem, you might see that your answer is correct and ChatGPT gives you the wrong answer. So just make sure that you double check that. And if you're not feeling too sure, maybe have a friend look over it, ask your teacher what the right answer is. Trust your gut on what the right answer is, because at the end of the day, you are smarter than these tools. Using AI as a study buddy. If you're taking a foreign language class like Spanish, French, or Mandarin, then you might have to do a speaking or hearing requirement for your final exams. If that's the case, you can use ChatGPT's audio feature to help you practice that listening and speaking parts to prepare you for that final exam. Here's what that looks like. Right now, I have my mobile device here and I'm in a new chat with ChatGPT. This is still the free plan, and I'm going to click the audio button to the middle right here, and then I'm gonna tell ChatGPT what I'm studying for and what I need from them. Here's how it goes. Hi ChatGPT, I need your help to take the next 2 minutes to help me study for my intro Spanish class. I'm currently in 9th grade, and for my final, the teacher said we have to do a speaking exercise on what we like in present tense, and then they'll give us some sentences in Spanish that we also have to translate in English. Can you help me with that in the next 2 minutes?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to help. We can practice some phrases for talking about what you like using the verb gustar, and then we can also do some quick translation exercises. Just let me know what you'd like to start with and we'll dive right in.
Let's start with the speaking exercise.
Sounds great. So when you talk about what you like in Spanish, you usually use me gusta for singular things, like me gusta la música, I like music, and for plural things like me gustan los libros, I like books. We can practice a few examples and then you can try saying them out loud. How does that sound?
Okay.
Perfect. Let's start with some simple examples. For instance, if you want to say, I like to play basketball, you can say, me gusta jugar al baloncesto. Or if you want to say, I like to watch movies, you can say, me gusta ver películas. Go ahead and try one of those, and I'll help you refine it.
Me gusta películas.
That's great. Just a tiny adjustment. Since is plural, you'd say me gustan las películas, but you're definitely on the right track. Let me know if you want to try another one.
Can we try the hearing exercise now?
Absolutely. I'll say a few sentences in Spanish, and then you can try to translate them into English. Me gusta escuchar música todos los días. Give that one a try.
I like music.
Exactly, that's correct. The full translation would be, I like to listen to music every day. But you got the main idea perfectly.
I'm gonna go ahead and click the X icon there just to pause us, but as you can see, that's just one way that you can use the audio feature. You do just have to make sure that you tell it what your final exam will be about, what you need help to do conversational practicing, or even a listening practice, and it'll do its best to help you out with that. Building a realistic study plan. For any of your classes where you have to memorize a lot of vocab, key dates, key information, and so forth, think biology and history, it may help you to build out a realistic study plan. That way, instead of cramming all the information the night before or day of, then you're at least giving yourself the chance to retain that information for longer because you spaced it out. Here's how you can build that realistic study plan using ChatGPT. Let's say that you have this AP US History final exam that you have to study for, and you only have 7 days, and it's a mix of knowing key vocabulary, key people, and events. And this study guide has, 26 pages. So what we can do is we can ask ChatGPT to come up with a realistic study plan. Our first step is to add that study guide in here. So I'm just gonna look for AP in my downloads. It's this one right here. And then I'm gonna paste this prompt where I say I have 7 days to study for this exam on units 1 to 5. It's gonna be 75% multiple choice and 25% short answers. And my goal is to study 2 hours max. What is a realistic study plan that I can follow to get an A in this exam? Please come up with questions that I should be able to answer for each day. And let's see what chat comes up with. Okay, so it gives me a highlight of a daily routine. Let's zoom in on that. Saying I should review the notes for 45 minutes and then practice the multiple choice for 45 minutes and then 30 minutes for that short answer practice. Just like we did in the beginning where we asked chat to come up with a practice test, we can do the same when we reprompt it if we'd like. I'm not gonna do that for this section, but again, you know how to do that. You can give that a try on your own. So then here it says, okay, it broke it down to goals, key topics, and the questions. So for day 1, 1491 to 1607, the focus is Native societies and European exploration. And then, at least for the short answers, this could be helpful for us to think about, like, how did Native American societies differ? How did European motivations for exploration, again, differ from Spain, France, and Netherlands? If I scroll down, you can see the same model applies with day 2 with the goals, the key topics, and what we should be able to answer. We do that same process up until day 5. And in day 6, it has us really connect the themes across the units. And then day 7 is more about the practice exam and focusing on the dates, key dates that we feel weak on. Quickly making flashcards. You can use a flashcard website like Quizlet to quickly turn your study guides into flashcards. And then when you have these flashcards, you can quiz yourself, which will help you remember that information better than just passively reading your notes. Here's how that would look like on Quizlet. Can you make flashcards? Let's just say 20 flashcards for day 1 that I can practice using Quizlet. All right, so we have this list of flashcards that chat created. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just copy this because I want to easily be able to make it into a PDF. And I created a new Google Doc in another tab. I'm gonna paste that into here. And before I make into PDF, I'll just take maybe 5 minutes just double checking what each of the terms are, and what comes after it technically is the vocab or the definition. So I'll just double check that, make sure that ChatGPT didn't hallucinate, and when I'm done, I'll make it to PDF. All right, so I double checked it looks good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and click File, Download, and then do PDF right here. And then what I did was I opened up a new tab and I logged into my Quizlet account. If you've never used Quizlet, you just go to Quizlet.com, and then if you're not yet logged in, there should be a login or sign up button at the top right, and you should be able to use the free trial. Once you're in this home screen, there should be a flashcards section here, and I'll X this. And then the Smart Assist, what we can do is we can click the upload button and put that study guide that we just came up with. So I think that was called a push. It's this one right here. I'll go ahead and click open. And once this loads, it's going to give us the option to click go, which would then create the flashcards automatically. So you don't have to manually put the term, manually put the definition. It'll try to do it for you. And then once it has it for us, we should go and double check that these are the right terms and definitions. Okay, so that took about almost a minute to generate. Once you double check it, you want to click add to set first, and then you can do create and practice. Oh, gotta add a title. Oh, I don't even need to add a title. So I'll just do, my goal is to memorize it all, start, learn. So now as I'm practicing, it created a multiple choice for me where it has the definition here, and then have to choose the term. Let's say it's this one. And then I'm just gonna keep going to do that up until I reach 40. Some other ways you can use Quizlet to study is you can use the flashcards feature here. When you click that, it makes it full screen for you, and you can test yourself by trying to voice out loud the definition. So once you know pre-Columbian societies, let's say you say something along the lines that it's about diverse Native American cultures before European contact, then once you've answered that right, you can go ahead and click next. The last feature I'll say here is you can also click this track progress. So let's say maize cultivation, you say something like, it's about growing potatoes. You click this and it says corn farming developed by native societies in Mexico. That's definitely not about potatoes. So you can click X, and then it's going to later on just keep showing you the ones that you're still learning versus the ones you know, so that you can really practice recalling that information that you missed. Studying for finals doesn't need to be stressful if you have the right tools that work with you. Whether it's quickly turning your notes into flashcards or using AI as a study buddy, it's all about studying smarter, not harder. So my challenge to you is to take the next 5 minutes to try out any of these tools. And if you catch yourself procrastinating, you might want to see my next video to learn why and to get yourself out of that zone. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.